Can you, okay. I guess you can hear me fine. My connection just dropped for a
It's
second
fine.
there.
It's fine. I mean, I hope that I hope that everything sounds fine because if it
Hmm.
doesn't,
You sound okay.
thanks, man. You too.
Great.
Okay, so
So,
I have like a list of things that I want
mm,
to talk about,
okay.
and
Let's
I don't know
start from
if
the top.
yeah. Okay, start from the top. Did you watch Endgame?
No, I did not, but
Okay, but
I know the plot
you
of the
spoiled
movie.
the hell out of yourself and me like
It's it wasn't well. It's not like I spoiled myself because I really didn't want to consume Avengers Endgame. So I was okay with just reading the plot.
so you didn't want
Um,
to contribute for the overtaking of
e- um,
Avatar.
I know. Okay, I understand where you're getting at. No, for those of you who don't know, I quit Marvel movies after Iron Man 3.
But why though?
Um, I was super disappointed with the way they handled. To begin with, they never. I get really, really pissed when characters' origins are pissed on. And what they did to the Mandarin was like the the drop that made the straw that broke the camel's
Yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah. Okay. I agree that the Mandarin was kind of a cop out. Like it was kind of they
It
grabbed
was
a
awful.
character that was like for so many years it was the
A very big enemy to
yeah,
Iron Man. I'm not going to call it like an arch or a nemesis or
it's
arch
not
enemy.
I don't know if he's the arch enemy. I don't know. But like he's definitely like a big villain of Iron
Yes,
Man.
he is.
They grab Mandarin and they
The
make him
rings are a big part of the Iron Man mythos, so to speak,
yeah.
or the Marvel mythos. Then
By the way, you know a lot way more about the DC universe and the Marvel universe than I do, so I'm kind of
I know a bit
I'm
about both. A
okay,
bit
but
more about DC, recent DC, than I know Marvel. Um, but yeah,
you do prefer DC over Marvel, right?
I do.
Yeah.
But I thought we were talking about Avengers
Yeah, yeah. So we're talking
and
about
why I quit.
basically
Why
what I wanted to talk about is because there is I'm not going to spoil the movie for everyone.
okay,
Um but
let's not then.
I know that there is time travel in Avengers in Endgame.
Well, you should probably put a spoiler alert right here then. But yeah, there is
I mean, is that
time
really a
travel.
spoiler? Because I mean, come on, you know that's gonna happen.
If you watch the trailers and if you pay attention, you do get the idea that there is time travel involved. I think
I
there's
feel
a
like
trailer.
it's not a spoiler. Like I mean, I don't think
I'm
it's a.
pretty sure there's a trailer where you see Captain America fighting Captain America.
Wait, really? Okay,
Yeah,
okay, that's
but
interesting.
if you weren't paying attention to all of the movies up to now, then I guess you couldn't really see like it
Yeah,
coming. But
like the
but
thing
yeah,
is, I didn't watch the
I think
movie.
it was the only possible way for them to fix whatever the hell was going on. I mean, it's pretty much the only thing that they could do after.
It's
I
true, yeah,
mean, after the villain has won, unless you get the Dragon Balls, which is pretty much what the Infinity is.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Um, but yeah, the point is, without should I can I spoil the movie a bit more? Again,
Uh,
if you didn't watch Avengers Endgame yet, pause the video and skip
I can just
whatever.
like I can cut this whole part out. But the thing, basically, what I'm trying to segue into is
Mm.
what is your opinion on movies and TV shows and comics having time travel in them?
Okay,
Is it a good thing?
time travel is a very sensitive situation. When
I
it's well done, like when it's not a major, uh, how do I put this? You know, Back to the Future.
yes, yes.
in Back to the Future, time travel
Is the whole premise basically?
yeah, but it ends up being used inadvertently. Like Marty McFly goes back in time by accident. He doesn't. I mean, he sees the time machine running, and he knows it works because he just saw it basically going a minute into the future.
Yeah.
But he's not really understanding where he's putting himself into when he goes into the time machine and gets back to 1955.
Yeah, I guess not.
And then the whole movie is getting him back to his present time, to the 80s.
Yeah, exactly.
So when it's not used as a cop out mechanism, which I kind of feel is what happens in a lot of cases, is
Yeah.
not only, and I'm not only mentioning, but Marvel does it quite sometimes. I do remember there was this. They introduced the Marquis of Death, which is pretty much basically the most powerful character I ever saw in a Marvel comic.
Marquis of Death?
Marquis of Death, yes. He's like an X-Men. He has this reality powers. It's insane. So the spoiler alert again. The cop out they find to get him to defeat him is to travel back in time before the Marquis of Death becomes whatever the fuck he is. Can I swear? I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no, you can, whatever.
Okay, great. And yeah, they pretty much kill him before he gets all these powers. And in Avengers Endgame, what happens is, well, you would think that it's pretty much just getting the Dragon Balls back together, again, the Infinity Stones back together, and wish to revert whatever Thanos did with the snap and killed half of the universe. But you can't do that, because when you get to Thanos in the beginning of the movie, the first act is Thanos destroying the stones.
Yeah, true.
I don't know how, because in the comic books, they are a literal essence of the one above all. When he died and created everything across the multiverse, he left essence of himself, yeah, which are pretty much the Infinity Stones. And I have no idea how Thanos destroys those in the movie. So I guess it would be interesting to watch the production of it, because I do think the movies have value cinematically. Although, yeah, I can't bring myself to actually like them. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just a pet peeve, I guess.
I don't know. Like I personally like I don't hate the Marvel universe. Like I kind of like some like there's one scene that I really like in Age of Ultron, which is not a great movie by like I think everyone can agree on that.
I did watch it. I didn't go to the movies again, watch it.
Okay, yeah. But there's a scene in Age of Ultron that I really like, which is when the Avengers are just hanging out and Thor is like, "Hey, do you guys want to try lifting my hammer?" And that scene is so well done. I don't know why, but it's so good. Like,
are you mentioning the time where the Vision actually picks up the hammer and hands it to Thor?
Oh yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't remember that. Yeah, he
but
did.
yeah, in the that I think is cool that there's some characters that on screen have already picked up Mjolnir.
Yeah, it's what is really interesting about the Avengers is really how they can manage to grab all these characters and kind of make them all have their own spotlight in a movie, which is difficult as hell. Like even when I write stories, it's so difficult to even like make
Not
one character have
character.
Yeah, exactly, because you always have like the main character, but in Avengers you don't really have a main character. Like is it Iron Man? Is it
in
Captain
Avengers,
America?
you do not have a main character. No, you have main characters.
Exactly, but that's difficult. That's
like,
really difficult to do.
It's really not, in my opinion, because Marvel had all of this plot into building up to Avengers, and you had a lot of solo movies. If you look at the first Avengers, which is the one I think I remember better,
I didn't watch it, so
you well, some characters clash with each other. It's essential, like, to create some tension between them. It's the first time they're operating together. But there are other characters that never appeared in movies. Like, the main characters are Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man.
Yeah.
And they do share a spotlight, but you know their backstories, like the Hulk. Although you know who the Hulk is, this is a nation. They did Hulk with Eric Bana, the first Hulk movie, which is actually, I think, the first superhero movie. I think it was first, then Spider-Man. I think.
Well, the first superhero movie
really
in
sure.
the
in
the modern era of superhero movies. Yeah, maybe, probably. I mean, I don't know how you would because Batman is technically a superhero movie, and I don't know if it like.
I mean, Batman.
I'm talking about
Dark...
the Tim Burton Dark Knight Returns.
Oh no, yeah, but modern, like.
That's not modern then. Okay.
Yeah, what I mean to say is
like the reboots, basically.
The rebrandings.
Okay. And yeah. Sure, you could say that.
I'm actually going to try and figure out the first Spider-Man movie, in which year it came, because I'm not really sure if the Hulk came first.
I don't know either. But
okay,
just so that we don't get distracted, because so the question was.
No, Spider-Man was first. Okay.
So your opinion is that time travel needs to be handled with care, basically, for it to be like to be a legitimate plot device.
But that's another thing, because now that they've used it, not only Marvel is very limited in terms of using it again to resolve a conflict in a story, but DC is also compromised in this aspect. And time travel is I think, at least from what I know, a whole lot bigger deal in DC than it is in Marvel.
I don't know, actually. I have no idea, but yeah.
Again, my opinion, just based on my knowledge, because I know that the Flash and Booster Gold and all of these speedsters, I know that the Flash has the cosmic treadmill, and he created big trouble for DC with time travel. I think that the Flash, the TV show, has already made Flashpoint.
Have they made Flashpoint?
I think they adapted Flashpoint, and I know, at least last time I saw, DC was thinking about also doing Flashpoint.
So you mean like the DCEU, or however you call it?
Yeah, the DCEU. Okay. Yeah, the extended universe.
Yeah.
I remember seeing something about it.
Okay.
At least a planned thing. Which is, again, it's not the same. But again, it's not the same. They're two different uses.
Okay.
We've seen ever since Antman that time travel is a possibility in the Marvel universe.
Yes.
But again, they used it to resolve conflict.
Yeah.
And in Flashpoint, it's the other way around. The time travel
is what causes conflict. Yeah, that's interesting, because one of the rules in writing a good plot is you cannot introduce a thing, like a plot device, to resolve anything.
Okay, no, that's not what you mean.
That's different. I don't actually know what it's called, but it's basically whenever you introduce a new
Deus
thing.
Ex Machina.
Yeah, it's the opposite of Deus Ex Machina. Deus Ex Machina is exactly Deus Ex Machina is the violation of this law, basically. Basically, it's whenever you introduce a new thing,
comes down from the heavens and
exactly. Whenever you introduce a new thing, it cannot resolve anything if it has been just introduced. You can use it later, but you cannot. That's the thing, because it's exactly, because it's basically a cop-out. That's literally what a cop-out is you invent something to resolve another problem.
But then again, sorry to interrupt you, but I was just saying that ever since Ant-Man, we've at least I watched Ant-Man, and I remember thinking they are trying to introduce time travel in here.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what they use, the quantum realm, They use the quantum realm, the PIM particles, and whatever to time travel.
Yeah, so
And
technically, if they use something that they've already established, I don't think it's I don't think it's really that much of a cop out. But it really just depends on. I mean, it just depends if it's good, if it's like well written. That's basically the thing. Because honestly, in my view, there are movies that are based on time travel, movies and fiction in general that is based on time travel, and there are the fiction that is not based on time, that has no time travel in it. And then there's this mid ground where they can introduce time travel, but it's not one of the main things that series has. And that is a very dangerous place to be if you are a story, in my view, because whenever you introduce time travel to a thing that did not have time travel before it, or it's not like the main thing, it wasn't like used a
Mm-hmm.
lot,
Yeah. Yeah.
you immediately put every decision that every character has made, or every event that has happened, is put into check, because
Mm-hmm.
suddenly it can be retconned. Of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
depends.
That's
Yeah, it depends
that.
on what kind of time travel it is, because there's different types. You have time travel that, like Harry Potter and the third Harry Potter book slash
Yeah.
movie.
It does really well.
Yeah, that is a time travel
In my
that's
opinion,
good.
that is the best Harry Potter movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the thing is, then oh crap, I'm spoiling the. But I think everybody's as is it okay if I spoil the Cursed Child? Because I think everybody has read slash seen
I
that.
didn't, but that's okay.
Okay, but I think I've already spoiled it for you. So I mean, basically, they use a lot. They use all I'm gonna say is they use a lot of time travel in Cursed Child, and it's way too much. Like it just ruins it, honestly.
Hmm.
Because I don't know, like it just ruins it. And it's the same thing with Terminator. In Terminator, I know that time travel is like
Oh,
one of the
yeah,
main things.
Genesis. I didn't even watch that.
Yeah,
I can't
I didn't
even.
watch Genesis, but I'm not in any situation going to watch Genesis. Genesis.
Genesis.
Genesis.
Genesis.
Genesis.
I
I
don't
don't.
know.
Because that movie
It's dumb.
just ruins everything. Like
But
the
then
whole.
again, the Terminator always had time travel.
Yes.
I can't even begin to try and understand the plot of Genesis just based on the trailer I've watched.
Exactly. Okay. So
But
yeah.
I wanted, before we segue into something else, I wanted to say something about the whole not messing with time travel. There's a show that up until now has very smartly eluded this, and that's Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
If you pay it's not really if you pay attention, because I do know that Morty mentions it to Rick once and asks why the hell does he have a box labeled time travel stuff on his garage, and Rick just pretty much like dismisses him and goes like, yeah, we don't go there,
Oh yeah.
it's messy, let's just not.
Yeah, yeah.
They do mess with a lot of things, but
But
time travel, even though they're based in Rick in Back to the Future,
but
they
I
do not
feel
mess with
yeah,
time
yeah.
travel.
But I feel like with Rick and Morty, it's kind of like it's so ridiculous. Like they do so much crap with alternate dimensions and stuff that I mean, I feel like time travel is the least of their worries, honestly, because
Yeah.
it,
Yeah, like when you have multiverse, why the hell would you need time travel?
time travel is basically a slower way of accessing the multiverse,
Yeah,
almost.
that's just multiverse with extra steps.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But I think that Rick and Morty is an example of one of those series that uses time travel as
But
uses
yeah,
like it's one of the main things is it's not time travel, it's alternate dimensions, but it's almost
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah. But now
on the
that
same track.
we touched the topic,
Yeah.
would you, since we're on Avengers, would you rather have them do time travel or skip to another universe?
Oh,
I
you
mean,
mean
they would
if
have to try to figure out where the hell the Infinity Stones of that universe would be.
okay, so you're asking me if I would prefer them having alternate like being
Yeah, the
basically
glove,
okay.
basically, the Infinity Stones only work on your universe.
Okay.
If you pull a full glove to another universe, they will not work there. You have to start all over again.
Okay, so
Um,
well, but the thing is, if Avengers used alternate dimensions, we have not. I don't think like I don't know if we've established like in the MCU if they've established that there are alternate dimensions that are
yeah,
accessible.
that's a very sad thing, isn't it?
They haven't established that, right? So if they
I
haven't
don't think so.
established, uh, by that rule, you cannot use it to resolve a conflict because you haven't established it yet. If you
Well,
establish
yeah,
it,
true.
it's the biggest Deus
So
Ex
they
Machina.
okay, yeah, they did well with the time travel then, because then again, it's been hinted at ever since Ant-Man.
Spoilers.
Well, the movie's old. If we're spoiling Endgame, I don't think we're going to get crucified by spoiling Ant-Man.
About alternate dimensions and time travel in fiction, and
Mm-hmm.
so another thing I would like to talk about is because I personally think that science fiction, especially when it's like in the far future, when it's like predicting, it's like it's these I don't know, for
Alternate
instance.
history, like
No,
kind of
no,
like
no,
something
no, no.
like
I don't
beyond
mean
difference.
alternate history. I mean, for
Well,
instance, Hunger
probably I don't
Games.
know if we're let's just be on the same page then. When I say alternate history, is just basically one thing that's different between our universes, but those generated something like a huge difference.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like
Example.
I really like science fiction that is alternate history because you can really explore stuff. And I personally I'm a huge fan of that, and I've tried writing stories about that as well. Like, what if I don't know, what if the Romans had discovered electricity, for instance? I don't know. Like I sometimes do those things. But what I'm talking about here is specifically predicting future events. Like, for instance, I think the probably the worst example was, or the biggest fail was Back to the Future, trying to predict what 2015 would be like. I think that was the
Okay.
biggest fail. Uh, but there have been
But
some.
you do understand that, at least I think, that it was not trying to be realistic.
Okay, sure. Like it's
Hoverboards,
the 80s. It's the 80s. Like it's
yeah,
supposed to be silly. Like the 80 you can't really take anything like any movie seriously. I mean, surely you can some of them, but not obviously not Back to the Future.
like
It's a silly
people with
movie.
yeah, yeah. It's a comedy movie,
Yeah.
but all in all, it is
They even
trying
joke
to fit in.
about Jaws. Jaws
The
15 or
shark still looks fake.
they even joke about that. So yeah, it's basically a joke. That like it was not a they were not they were barely trying to
Like they were
depict.
selling relics from the past, like vacuum cleaners. They have repellent, dust repellent surfaces everywhere. So who the fuck
Yeah,
is
exactly.
this thing?
Okay.
Vacuum
Um
duster,
but
duster buster? Yeah,
what?
duster buster.
Duster
That was it.
Buster. Was that what
The
they
duster
called?
buster.
They called that vacuum cleaners was Duster
Yeah, it was
Busters?
the those little ones that you would put on the that you would
Oh.
use with one hand. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
to
Okay.
clean like your table after you had dinner, or the surfaces of your um, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. But we were talking about predictions.
Predicting the
Um,
future, and now
yes,
Back to the Future
because
balls it up.
yeah, exactly. Because here's the thing. I feel like you can because there's two types of science fiction. I mean, there's multiple types of science fiction, obviously, but Back to the Future is a soft science fiction because it doesn't really care about accurate scientific things. Like I don't know, it's what they called what is it called? Like the science jargon or something. Like when when there's that character in a movie that starts like saying a bunch of complicated things that don't actually make any sense, but it sounds like they do. That's soft science fiction. It's basically trying to look sciency and nerdy, but it's not actually talking about real science. But then you have hard science fiction. For instance, Carl Sagan's Contact is hard science fiction because it's based on actual scientific things. Um, and so I think that you can, Do you think it's possible to predict the future, like not too
Well,
far?
I think the the distinction you're trying to make is science fiction and fantasy.
Yes, yes.
Mm.
Science fantasy, I guess, is what I mean.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever you want to call it. Maybe it's we'll come up with.
I call it soft science fiction because that's what basically it's like the main. It's not.
Science fiction does imply a level of scientific,
Yes, it does, but
but
sometimes it's not serious. That's what I mean.
but maybe within the rules established inside of the world itself, like uh,
Sure.
the difference between Star Trek and Star Wars.
Oh
You know,
yeah, you
one is
can tell
very fantasy,
exactly
and the
exactly.
other one is very much science fiction. Even though, yeah, okay, replica years do not exist as of yet, but that's pretty much the only difference between our universe and Star.
That's true. Star Trek is a lot more realistic in terms of science than
Well,
Star
it
Wars
does not
is.
have magic,
Yeah, it doesn't have magic. That's true. It's
and
not
that's
fantasy.
what the prequels tried to do. You know, they tried to ground the Force to a scientifical thing,
Yeah, honestly, I did not
and
like that.
how
I did not like that.
the
Like,
midi-chlorians. Yeah, I
I
get
don't
it.
want. We don't talk about the
But that's
prequels.
the we do
We
talk about
do.
the
Okay,
prequels.
sure. We do, but it's like it's.
But yeah, even though we all hated them, except for that pod racer part and the death mall bits, it is a fact that even though this knowledge is lost to everyone in universe, but yeah, the us as a viewer, the force is still magic, and that's what everyone will forever think
It
that the
is.
force is.
The Force
Um,
is basically key, or
yeah,
it's basically
it's a
magic.
life force. It's a life force.
It's mana.
But yeah, the Phantom Menace did try to put it into your
yeah.
body
They were
as
trying
a
to
stuff.
approach it more to scientific things. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
But it didn't make any sense. Anyway,
But if I do think it's possible for a science fiction show to predict the
do you
future,
think so?
definitely.
Definitely. Okay.
Yeah, of
Well,
course. I mean, uh,
the Simpsons predicted Trump. So if the Simpsons
I
have
wouldn't
taught
go
us,
there. I
you
wouldn't
wouldn't
go
go
there.
there. Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, the Simpsons do predict a lot of stuff. But well,
Yeah.
uh,
Because
whatever.
yeah, for instance, you have that book that Jules Verne wrote, the
Which
Par-
one of them?
Paris in the 20th century. Basically, he predicted. He made. It was a he was trying to predict what the 20th century would look like, which honestly, it's really interesting to read it. It's kind of a dark. It's really dark and it's really depressing. But what's more depressing about this book is that it is kind of realistic. Like it,
Mhm.
he predicted he predicted that we would have nuclear bombs. He predicted that we would have extremely fast communication. He
Mhm.
predicted that our education would be focused on basically science, science and construction, and would basically arts and culture would be a secondary thing by the views of
Society as a
of
whole.
society. Yeah, exactly. He predicted that, and it's so sad when you think about it. This was this book that he wrote is considered a dystopia. And when you think about it, we are living right now. We are living in Jules Verne's dystopia. That's sad when you think about it.
Yeah, he predicted quite some
Yeah.
time, quite some things. I do think something about him predicting and skyscrapers and
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, arts are no longer such a big part. People try to tell their parents that they want to follow science or technologies and stuff like that. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
pretty much made to believe that we'll not have a future unless we're the best of the best.
Yeah, exactly. That is really sad, honestly, and I hope that in the future we solve that problem because art is just as good as any other job, and it needs to be supported. It needs to be.
Yeah. Can you imagine, well, like a world without any sort of arts, like no entertainment whatsoever?
My goodness,
That would be
that would be the biggest dystopia, I think. That would be a completely gray,
very, very hard
lifeless
to think about
world.
it.
Yeah, it's because culture is humanity
Oh,
cannot exist without culture, basically.
that reminds me of the invention of lying. I don't know if you saw this movie.
The,
It's with Ricky Gervais, and it's a world where people don't lie; they're always honest. So,
what's the movie called? I didn't get
the
that.
invention of lying.
The Invention of Lying. Hmm.
Yeah, it's a comedy, but it's weird because, well, he works in a movie studio,
Okay.
and so if you can't lie, you can't make up a story
Oh, you can. Oh,
because it
that's
didn't exist.
true.
Because it didn't exist.
All
So
right.
movies are pretty much just people looking into a camera and telling other people about history and historical events.
So basically, the
From
only
they're recording history in the lens of a camera.
interesting. So basically, in that world, all movies have to be veridical. They have to be factual
Yeah.
because they can't lie. That's interesting.
But they're not even movies. They're not, because you
They're-
can't make up a scene.
That's
even
true.
if you try
That's
to make something.
true.
It's just a person sitting on a chair
Wait. So basically,
reading stuff to other people.
you can't imagine anything.
Yeah, I
Oh
guess not.
God! If you can't lie, you can't imagine because lying requires imagination. Wow, that's okay. That's. So
I do remember
that's
something about the a Pepsi ad. It was like on the side of a bus. No, yeah, the ad for Coke was Coke. It's very famous. And the ad for Pepsi was like Pepsi when they don't have Coke.
honest trailers, basically.
Yeah. And so, yeah, the plot of the movie is just basically one day Ricky's brain just fires and he can lie.
Oh, so he's
Yeah.
the only person that can lie, and it's
Yeah,
just...
but he gets himself into a huge fucking mess, man.
Oh wow, okay, damn.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil the movie for you, though.
Okay,
It's
that
really
sounds interesting, but
It takes a very, very rough turn into something like I'm describing the movie to you,
okay.
and it takes a very rough turn to religion and yeah.
Okay,
Well, that's it.
wow, okay.
Yeah, it's a very good movie. I recommend it.
Okay,
It's a good laugh.
The Invention of Lying.
Yeah.
That's I'm gonna watch that probably. Sounds really
Please
interesting.
do.
Okay. So yeah, but I think science fiction, for instance, you know that nuclear bombs, they were invented by H.G. Wells. Like he basically
The concept.
the concept exactly.
Uh-huh.
And basically, if a writer of science fiction can invent things that then are actually possible and can be invented, that can be dangerous, that is a huge responsibility. Like, I think that science fiction writers have a lot more responsibility in their hands than other fiction writers, in my view.
I don't think so. I mean, not every science fiction writer has like a PhD in astrophysics. I mean,
True.
they might want to paint it as science fiction, and they go to some lengths to try and explain things to you in a way that they make sense.
True, yeah.
But if you strip it down,
Yeah, you could say that H.G. Wells would have never been able to actually invent a nuclear bomb. It was...
or a time machine.
Yeah, exactly.
The time machine also comes from H.G. Wells.
Exactly, the time machine was also his invention, and no one as of yet has been able to replicate.
I mean, we can go. We can time travel into the future, but we can't go.
True, you can't go back.
And even then, it's not really time traveling to the future, is it? I mean, I can put you on orbit to a black hole, and time will pass. really, really fast.
We are technically time traveling right
Really, really
now.
slow.
One
Ah,
second per second. So
okay.
technically, yeah,
But
if
what I mean to say is, I can put you in
yeah,
a
yeah,
rocket ship
yeah, I
and
know.
ship you to somewhere where gravity is much higher, and
Yeah, like
when you come back, I'll be old and you'll be same old Matt.
yeah, like in Interstellar.
Yeah, well,
They touch
great
that a lot.
movie.
They touch that a lot. Honestly,
Um,
like I like the movie. I don't think it's
but then
like
again, see, it takes a very dark turn to something that we can comprehend. And
it's true,
is
yeah.
it science fiction at that point?
Yeah, it's true.
The Tesseract
The
scene,
Tesseract, honestly, the Tesseract was such a Deus
it
Ex
was very well
Machina.
shot, but it
Sure.
was very well shot.
Yeah, it was.
And
I
again,
liked it,
I
but
don't think it was Deus Ex Machina because he was leaving clues to himself. In the entire movie has you foreshadowing in it
yes, it has foreshadowing of
of the
like
Tesseract.
they called it like alien and stuff, and he was the actual alien. Oh, spoilers, whoops.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Well,
like I like that. It's interesting, but the thing is, I don't know. It just doesn't. How the freaking hell does Cooper survive entering a black hole and then survive the vacuum of space for long enough for them to actually like find him and bring him back to life? How the hell do they do that?
that was the well,
That
the
does
whole thing is a black hole. Yes, but think about it this way: he was a third dimensional thing
yes.
going into a fourth dimensional thing.
Okay. Okay, sure.
Surely he was being like that fourth dimensional thing was being manipulated by something in a higher plane,
Yeah,
like
clearly.
a fifth dimensional being who controls all the rules for everything. So, for example, if you can cut a square, like if you draw not a circle in a piece of paper and you cut it out,
Yes.
you can make that circle move up and down.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
does not understand it's moving up and down.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm speaking out of my ass here, but I'm. Do we know for sure that what we're looking is a black hole and not a portal? Like
Yeah, we
with
can.
a set of specific rules
Sure, we
created
can't.
by this fifth dimensional being?
Yeah, exactly. We can't know that for sure.
Well, I would have to watch the movie again to
But
be sure. I don't remember.
honestly, the thing is, Gargantua is clearly like something that is very dangerous to fall into. I don't think a human being could survive, even if it had a tesseract in the center of it.
Well, Stephen Hawking does have a. I don't know if Stephen Hawking wrote a couple of children's books before he died.
I read
And
those. Yeah.
his theory on black holes, even though I'm pretty sure that they didn't follow his set of his theory on black holes for Interstellar, but he does believe that everything, all matter of information that goes into a black hole can be recovered. Like it's not lost forever.
Okay.
It's put somewhere else. It's stored away. It's maybe transported to another universe or to another point in space.
Yeah, that's
But it's not
interesting.
lost. It's
Yeah,
not
that's
lost at all.
interesting. Because, well, I think there's a theory, I can't remember which one. Is it the theory of oh crap. What is it called? Like the theory that says that nothing can be destroyed and nothing can be created?
Lavoisier.
Lavoisier. Okay. So
Everything in nature, nothing is gained. Everything is transformed.
yeah, so technically if information were to enter a black hole, it cannot be destroyed. It has to be transformed into something else. Of course,
Well, I don't want to jump into one and
yeah,
let you do
exactly,
that.
exactly.
I'm not gonna put
Because
myself through that.
because transformation can be into anything. It can be into a very hot beam that flies through space, I guess. That's
Well,
one.
I'm pretty sure that we would be completely destroyed at first.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know what
exactly.
happens next.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Like I don't think that Interstellar is that realistic when you point into account the forces that Cooper would have pulling his body apart. They were not
Mhm.
accounted for. So
No, he might have died. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, but
But just
he didn't die though.
just like That's what I mean. Like the
Don't.
replicator, the transmitter, the transporter
Yeah,
from
sure.
Star Trek.
Like you can't
It
for sure
destroys
know.
you in one place and reconstructs you
Recons.
in another.
Okay, yeah.
And again, I'm speaking out of my ass with all
Yeah,
the fifth
exactly.
dimensional being. But
Exactly.
if someone has
Yeah.
control over that, he could have
Sure.
placed them back together, pieced them back together.
Sure. I guess so, yeah. Um yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
I like the movie. It's interesting.
It is a good
So
movie,
yeah.
in my opinion.
So yeah, but black holes are dangerous. And
Don't do black holes, kids.
yeah, don't fall into one. It's you're not going to come back probably. You're not like Cooper.
All
Uh
this talk of space is making me itchy for some Lovecraft.
Oh, you want to touch the Lovecraft subject?
No, 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 no. I don't.
Okay. Okay.
Not
Yeah.
today.
Not today. That's for another. That's a
You
topic
can
for
tell,
another
but
time.
I have a smile covering like my old face. You see the smile.
Your old 24-year-old face.
Mm-hmm. Very, very old and wrinkly. Wrinkly.
Ree!